What's up, you guys? It's your girl, Ash Brown, and this is my weekly review. I'm sorry that it's a little bit late, but this is my weekly review of House of the Dragon, Season 3, Episode 4, yes, Turmoil in Tumbleton. So I like the way that this episode opens up. It opens up with Lord Ormund Hightower, and for those of the listeners out there that remember D'Angelo in the 90s, how does it feel? Untitled. What's it called? Untitled. I had that moment when Ormond stood up from that tub in the middle of that random room that they had. And I just needed the camera to pan down just not much, just slightly. Give me some eye candy on the screen. I could have gone without seeing his ass, but it is what it is. So, starting off with that, I mean, Ormond is definitely taking control. He is essentially creating his own situation within the situation. I definitely can say that. So, he's trying his best to he's brought all his men, and they have invaded Tumbleton, which is one of Rhaenyra's ally cities. A lot of people that she got support from live there and everything of that nature. So when she found out that they were there, she almost sent the dragons to just Dracarys everybody and just mess everything up. But if she goes and does that, she's also going to be hurting her supporters, the local people that want her to be queen. So she's standing down. She is standing down. Aegon and Lairys, they're in hiding, but they're near Rook's Rest. And now Aegon actually has the opportunity to see Sunfyre. And so something that's very interesting that somebody else pointed out, Sunfyre doesn't really look dead. Like, his body's not decomposing or whatever. Like, it's not like when Rhaenys, I think it was Meleys, was her dragon. And, you know, her head was like ripped off and stuff. And you're seeing things decompose. With Sunfyre, you're not seeing that. So Aegon goes up to Sunfyre and he's like having like his moment. And he's like, he's alive. He's not dead. I can still feel it. I can sense it. And remember, the Targaryens and their dragons have this strong connection, whatever it may be. So he feels that Sunfyre is not dead. And Lairys just kind of rushes them out there. Meanwhile, Sunfyre's lying body has become somewhat of like a tourist attraction. They're charging people to see this dragon or whatever the case is. They're not too sure who Aegon is or Lairys, which is good. But there's a lot to do with that. And then we see Sir Criston Cole and Gwaine Hightower, who is Alicent's brother, I believe. They get to Harrenhal, you know, all high and mighty. And Alice Rivers is just having a time. And she's like, oh, you know, the garrison, you know, they're dead or whatever. And, you know, we've departed and all these different things. And, you know, and Rhaenyra has taken the throne. And they have no idea because they have not been in communication. And she's like, oh, you didn't know. And then they demand for her to take them to Aemond. And she was like, oh, he was here, but he is no longer here. Which we know is a lie. We know Alice Rivers is not telling the truth. We know that she is nursing him somewhere because she's going to use him for her cause, whatever that may be. Getting back at Daemon, all of the above. We already know that. My thing is, and I know people will say, oh, you know, whatever's whatever. But I am still questioning, where the hell is Vhagar? Like, Vhagar at this point is the biggest dragon that is around at that time, right? Where the hell is Vhagar? How could Vhagar just up it? Like, that has been irking me for a minute. At least for the last episode. I've been like, where the hell is Vhagar? So I don't know. I don't know where Vhagar is, but Aemon is clearly getting nursed back to health. And I'm pretty sure this upcoming episode, we're going to see that. And so Criston Cole starts to feel like, well, damn, you know, we have been essentially abandoned. Yeah. So back at King's Landing, Rhaenyra is still kind of taking in all of the pressures of the Iron Throne, because that's essentially what it is. It's pressure. And she's trying to pull a council meeting. Corlys is just like, later, deuces. I don't have a dragon. I'm not of any use. I'm just going to go and gather on with the triarchy or whatever the case is. And he kind of instructs Alan to just go back and be of use to the queen because, clearly himself, doesn't make a difference. So that was an interesting choice of words, essentially. So Corlys has a right to be pissed because, again, I feel that should have been an easy fix, Rhaenyra. That was an easy situation. You should have just legitimized them. I get it. They have no claim to the crown. So what does legitimizing them even do? And you could have done it, and then it could have been just a rumor. Who cares? Who cares? So she's having trouble because now she has to find... she's appointed the Grand Maester, a part of the council, and also Sir Torrhen Manderly. He is now the sacrificial master of coin. Be it that they still lack funds, they have no funds. So Rhaenyra does send Daemon to the Vale, to her cousin, it probably is his cousin at some point too. But yeah, so sends him to the Vale, to the cousin, for some coin and, whatever else that she got, some gold, hey, whatever we need. Right now it's just meager, just very meager rations. So also at Tumbleton, if you guys don't recall, last season, Sir Hugh Hammer's wife said that she was going to Tumbleton to stay with her brother, just so she felt safer and in a better situation over there. So now, remember, Tumbleton has been invaded. So the Greens have invaded Tumbleton. And they're just like busting open doors and just like going up and living in people's houses. Like, there's no asking, really. They're just kind of going up and doing it. So one of the soldiers that's staying with the wife, her brother, his wife, and maybe some kids, he attempts to sexually assault Hugh Hammer's wife. And the rest of the family is fighting him off and, beating on him and things of that nature. And so they now bring it to Sir Ormund, because now he's essentially the authority right now. And they tell him, hey, they present the information to him. Look, this is what he tried to do. My family fought him off, blah, blah, blah. What are you going to do to clear this? And so, of course, the soldier, he's lying. He's like, no, that's not what it is. And they're like, look, we're going to see to you. We're going to properly take care of this for you. And you're going to have a punishment. And this is what it is. And so they kind of thanked him and stuff because he had done some damage. Like, he broke the wife's arm, and it was a whole bunch of stuff. So they took him away. And so in that moment, you're seeing, wow, okay, they invaded our city, but they're bringing a sense of order, right? Okay. So we thought. So Daemon is at the Vale, and he's leaving with whatever jewels or whatever the cousin gave him. And as he's getting on Caraxes is acting out. And from my recollection, I'm not really seeing the dragons, the ones that typically have riders. They don't too much act out. They, for the most part, will listen to their rider or for whatever the case is. They don't do like Sheepstealer. Sheepstealer ain't really from nowhere of any kind of relevance or any kind of culture. So Sheepstealer is one of a kind in so many ways than just the one. So I've never personally seen Caraxes act out of character. So as he's getting on Caraxes is acting up and jerking around, almost rushing Daemon. So Daemon gets on him and he's trying to tell him, calm down, Caraxes. What are you doing? And he's flying off and stuff. And he's like, no, that's not home. That's the wrong direction. Where are you going? And he goes off to this cave. And Daemon gets off of Caraxes. And he starts walking towards the cave. And then, he turns around and, he sees Caraxes. Caraxes gives this, very maniacal smile, makes this chittering sound, or whatever. And so he walks up, and then he sees, a figure walking out. And then he realizes, oh, snap, this is Rhaena, my daggone daughter, who was supposed to be, I think, in Pentos with his other two kids. And yeah, no, Rhaena's there. Rhaena looked bad, y'all. Rhaena looked like the worst, and the worst is worse. I've not seen a character look that damn bad in a while. And Rhaena looks like hell. Like she done been through it and then some. Her hair is like burnt off and like not even. Like, I don't know what the heck. She is in the most dysfunctional relationship I've ever seen in quite some time. Sheepstealer ain't shit. He in the background, and Daemon sees it, puts two and two together, realizes she is the reason why Jace got killed. And so he's like, what? You know, how did this even happen? You're supposed to be taking care of my other children, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, it wasn't, it was an accident. I didn't mean for that to happen. That was not what it was. And so he's like, okay, you cannot stay with this dragon. This is a wild dragon. He's unpredictable. He's not good. All these things, look, you just come back with me. Like he's all of a sudden, like I am seeing Daemon on the screen humanizing himself. He is now transforming to the father that she always wanted him to be. This is the father that wasn't paying attention to her and Vale. And it's just so, better late than never, I guess. But it was just a moment where you're just like, wow, he's trying to find a way of saving his child. He's trying to find a way so she's not in trouble. She's not in issues. I love this. And Rhaena tells him basically, no, this is, me and the dragon are one now. And I'm like, girl, yeah, you and the dragon is one? Oh, have mercy. So she and Sheepstealer take off. Daemon is just kind of looking from a distance, and he's like, what the heck am I going to do? He looks down, and he sees this older guy with like a sheep, like a herder. He's a sheep herder. And so next thing we see, Daemon is back home. He pulls out this head, throws it up on the council table, and says, this is the person responsible. This was the writer of Sheepstealer. And in that moment, okay, he's trying to save Rhaena's behind. And I get it, but we all know it's going to come back and bite him in the ass. We all know this. No good can come from that. And Rhaenyra has like a mixture of emotions because she's like, how do you know? How can we prove this? Blah, blah, blah. And Daemon's just like, look, this is just what it is. This is, it is what it is. And, yada, yada, yada. But Mysaria, I think it's Mysaria. Mysaria is looking, she's like, whose head is that, Daemon? Tell us the truth. Who is that really on the table? Whose head is that? And he doesn't answer. But Mysaria is not fooled in the least at all at Daemon. She doesn't believe that's the writer. She doesn't know what he's trying to pull, but she knows there's some Chikini business going on. There's something ain't right. Something ain't right. Okay, so also, so we got that going on. That's happening there. Alicent is still at the castle, kind of held hostage-ish. And I'm just so surprised Rhaenyra keep going to her for advice. She did share one thing with Rhaenyra and said that Ormund Hightower has this strong affliction for scents and smells and odors and things of that nature, whatever that may be. So that may turn out to be something that helps them in the future. But she also did say that she wanted Daemon to be a Hightower. Now, this can be looked at in certain ways, all right? Because I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, she wanted to be a Hightower. She didn't want him to be raised in the kingdom and all the things. However, shout out to Pam. Pam actually opened up my eyes to this a little further. She said she wanted him to be a Hightower. He's got red hair like her, or brownish, reddish color. What if Ormund is his real father, y'all? What if that, it's anything is possible. I don't doubt anything at this stage of the game. Anything is possible. So I don't doubt that in the least, at all. And so the biggest pull from this episode came towards the end when we realized that, Helaena is with child. And I'm like, oh, snap. Because that turns into a whole nother situation. she was like putting on like a little, like a smock, like a jacket type of thing. And Alicent went to her and kind of was pulling it, trying to help her tie it. And she drew back. And so she looked at her belly and she looked up at Helaena. And so in that moment, yes, she is absolutely with child. I don't think it's Aegon's. I think it's Aemon's. Because, you know, he had this weird sisterly attraction for her in season 1, if y'all don't know. It was some weird stuff going on there. So I think it's with him. But it could be anybody, honestly. It honestly and truthfully could be anybody. But that is my takeaway from episode number 4, season 3, House of the Dragon. Looking forward to Sunday's episode. And if you guys have any kind of tidbits for me or anything you want to say or share, or maybe my take on certain things, definitely reach out. Shoot me a comment here, or you can send me one across social media at OneLoveAsh, the number 1, LOVEASH. And I will holler at y'all next week for episode 5. Yeah.